two people who are on this call today, right now, who are students of mine who came in just like where all of you are at today. They implemented the steps. They've just assigned a deal and they're set to make $30,000. But you know, if you're just to look at a small clip, just at a small, it looks like they just made $30,000 without investing a dime. Because the best part about the deal that they're doing is that they put zero down, like zero of their own dollars invested, and they not only that, but they did it all through text. All they did was text this guy. They got the property under contract following the steps in the process that we gave them. And now they've assigned it. So as long as the deal closes, they're going to make $30,000. And I just want everybody to know that there was a point where, do you guys want to talk about it a little bit, how it went? Are you open to sharing to
Yeah,
inspire
so
people?
I was just trying to unmute it. Yeah, so hi, we're Sean and Brittany. You guys have probably seen us before. Yeah, so we had a deal that we were struggling to assign. Well, not really struggling to assign. There's some thing
Struggling to assign.
struggling to assign. There's some things that came up.
Hold on. Let's back it up a little bit. So, how long ago did you start this process?
We got it under contract in April.
No. How long ago did you start? How long ago did you sign up to the training?
Oh, the end of March.
Yeah.
End of
Yeah.
March. Okay, so what are we now? That's roughly 90 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So over 90 days, you implemented the steps. How many leads did you actually have to generate to get this deal?
Still about 70.
70-ish.
Okay, so over 90 days, you just sat back, you had 70 leads come into your pipeline. How many conversations do you think you had to have with sellers to get to this deal?
Well, over 90 days, I've had more than 70 leads. We got this one under contract back in April.
Right.
We had many conversations. We've put in
Daily.
probably 50 offers to sellers.
One thing, okay, I just want to clarify the timeline. So you signed up in March and then this deal came in April.
Yeah, mid-April.
So basically you were implemented our process and generated leads for a month and a half. Is that safe to say?
Yeah.
6 weeks. So 6 weeks to get your first deal. And how many leads do you think you had to process up until that point?
Just over
Yeah, up
35,
until no, up until that one, it was about 70.
Was it 70?
Yeah. At this point, we've had hundreds more.
Yeah.
Wow, that's insane. That's pretty insane if you think about it. Just think about for everybody out there who's doing like outbound lead generation tactics, like going on the MLS or calling a real estate agent, how many like people you would have to deal with. Whereas they had these people come to them. They had these sellers who want to sell their properties reach out to them and they're motivated because they're reaching out to you. But we make it sound so easy because all they see is this, but how did the rest of it go?
Well, we got it under contract back in April. We've been attempting to assign it for quite a while.
But
we had to
stop you for a second. We got it under contract through text messages and emails.
Yeah.
We had one conversation for maybe 2 to 3 minutes
on the phone.
And he said that he couldn't speak with us, that we'd have to deal with text messages and emails. And we've done that ever since.
Yeah.
So right now it's looking like you in 6 weeks through text message and email are about to make $30,000.
Yeah. Yeah, we've assigned it.
35.
$35,000. That's pretty sick, man.
35. And then because we were running down on our timeline to actually have the deal close, we asked the seller for an extension, and the individual that we had assigned it, we're going to assign the contract to, wanted that extension. So he offered the actual seller an extra $10,000 on closing cash to get that extension an extra 2 weeks. So we've just locked that up, the extension, everything, all the documents have been signed.
Because we had already extended it twice before.
Yeah. Through text and email.
Right. Right. So the moral of the
It's been a lot of
story,
back.
the moral of the story is in 6 weeks, it's possible to do this. However, you got to put in the work and you got to be willing to. What we don't see is how hard you guys actually worked and how the highs and lows along the way that it took to get to this point. So I'm so proud of you guys, like classic example of yeah,
Just
people
don't give
crushing.
up. That's the whole thing is like, in all honesty, like I know we don't like, some people don't like to talk about mindset and stuff like this, but when you start going down that spiral of kind of like, oh, this isn't going to work and it's failing and I don't see the results right away. We had a conversation, the two of us being husband and wife, and we're nurses and also ex-mental health nurses. So Brittany kind of reeled me in and says, stop thinking that way, start changing the way you're thinking, think positive. And as soon as I switched on the way that my thought process was and started with positive mindset, all this just started falling into place. Whereas
Right.
before it was a huge challenge.
Right. Don't get me wrong. I know you're saying the mindset thing because I talk bad about people what I don't like is coaches that try to like, we're gonna get your mindset right and blah blah
So
blah. I'm the opposite. I'm like, let's make you some money and then watch your mindset change. So, and most of these coaches that talk about that stuff is like they don't have a step-by-step process to get you cash in your bank account in the next whatever 6 weeks, like you guys are looking like you're gonna do now. So, but mindset is huge. Like that's what I'm trying to get through to everybody here is like anybody who's getting started and not in momentum yet, take it from them. Like, I remember being on a call with you shortly before this deal came through, and I didn't think you were going to make it to be on the truth, to tell you the truth, because your mindset wasn't, in the right place. But it's crazy how quick these things turn around.
yeah, and we just I'm ex-military too, so I've got that mindset too that even if I'm in a down and dark place, to keep pushing forward and to keep sticking things through, even if they're shitty and they don't seem like they're going to be good, or that's the way you're feeling, keep pushing. And then by at the end of the day, you come out of that mud and that dirty water and you clean yourself off and you're like, holy crap, look what happened. And everything started falling into place. And so now we have assigned it to someone, and tonight they signed the document and everything's done. So the agreement of purchase of sale has been all switched over and assigned, and yeah.
Right. So now it's basically sit back and wait for the deal to close and get paid $30,000. That's insane. So everybody give them a big round of applause, a big flex for them because I'm excited. Like,
And like you
It's
said,
not a
Tony,
deal till it's done.
but like
no,
you
it's
said, Tony,
not.
it's kind of crazy. Like we do, and you think it's 2024, but we dealt with this seller all digitally, like through emails and texts.
Right.
Like there was one small conversation that was about 3 minutes long, and that was it. So it is possible, even that, a lot of people say that, well, you got to talk to people and stuff. It's true, but there's also this proves that there's other means that actually work, and this does work. Like technology works, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I know people in the States, like some of my friends that wholesale in the States, they do everything through text. They just send out mass text blasts and they do everything that way. So um we have some people that just were in the waiting room. I really wish they had just heard everything we just talked about there. I'm gonna go through it quickly one more time because I want everybody else to hear. So not to be repetitive, but for everybody who just got in, because I just let a bunch of new people in. Basically, we have two of my students who were where everybody is at here today, and within 6 weeks, they got their first deal under contract, and then now it's looking like they've assigned a deal, and they just have to sit back and wait now for the deal to close to collect their $30,000 assignment fee. Um, and the moral of the story here is that there's going to be ups and downs all along the way, and the people who stick with it are the ones that get results. So, um, but yeah, I really wish everybody had been here when we were. I'm really bad with letting people into the when they're in the waiting room. Um, is there anything else you guys want to add to that though? No, you're
Just
good.
saying, well, just moving forward that, um, I mean, you get difficult individuals that you work with on a regular basis being sellers. And I've just dealt with another seller for the past week, back and forth, back and forth. Um, Even though you want to tell them to piss off and all these bad things come in your head and these thoughts, I stay professional through the whole process, and we'll see how this other deal works out. Maybe it will work out, maybe it won't, but at least what I did is kept it in a positive situation when I kind of step back from it, so that if I ever have to reapproach it, it's still in a positive situation. It's not in a negative, right? So
Right, right. Yeah. Back to, so that's a different deal you're dealing, the one you just mentioned. Something I just thought about, in the deal that you just did where you're about to make $30,000. It's like I've had deals like, so there's a coincidence that you, something that we've had in coincidence on a few deals, and like what happened to you on that deal has happened to me a bunch of times, where you get a deal under contract and you see the deal, but every single person you bring that deal to that's a potential buyer tells you, nah, that's not a deal, that's not a deal, and they all kind of, and it starts to get in your head. You're like, oh, this is not really a deal. Everybody's um you know shitting on my deal, right? And then out of nowhere comes like a serious person who's interested in the deal, and they know their numbers and they see it your way. And I gave an example of this on our call earlier. I had this on my very first wholesale deal in the US. I always talk about this deal because there so many unique things happen on it, but I got the deal under contract for $42,000, and everybody told me it's not a deal, it's not a deal, it's not a deal. All these wholesalers and all these like potential buyers, and then out of nowhere comes a guy, and I made $28,000 profit on a $42,000 property. So let me just do the math on that. One sec. I'm just trying to figure out what percentage is 28,000 if somebody's quicker than me. 28,000 divided by 42,000. Is that 66%? I made a 66% assignment fee on a property when every single person said that it was not a deal. So sometimes you really have to stick with your guns in this game, and like, keep troubleshooting and pressing forward like you guys did. So, and the moral of the story, everybody, is not to like sit here and brag. Oh, my mic is my mic really quiet? Can everybody hear me?
and I was just
Oh,
going to say, to add to that, Tony, is that um, the person that we assigned it to, again, it was strictly numbers. It was no fooling around. It was like, I'm going to run it by my team. I have a team that I work with. Let's look at the numbers and let's look at the appraisal numbers and everything. And right back, he came and said, you know what? Within about a half an hour, he goes, and all the numbers align and make sense.
Because
Let's do it.
we assigned it to another wholesaler.
Yeah.
right. And this is the other thing. That's another thing, is like, the best deals I've done have been when I've assigned them to other wholesalers, because they know what they're doing. They don't mess around. They have their buyers lined up. And sure, you're kind of sharing the profits and stuff like that, but who cares? You're getting a deal done quick and easy, and you're on to the next.
Well, the bonus with that is that he even offered the seller an extra $10,000 on closing,
Right.
because we had to extend the closing period of the contract and the due diligence period. So
Right.
he went back to the seller, well, told us to go back to the seller, and he's going to offer him an extra $10,000 just to accommodate everything. So it's a win for us. It's a win for the seller. It's a win for the wholesaler, because we're all getting something out of the deal.
Right. Yeah, man. I'm so proud of you guys. Like Sean and Brittany are like my one-on-one coaching clients. So I spent a lot of time with them on calls, on the phone, and we've gotten to know each other. And I've seen you guys through your whole journey. And so, like, I've been along with you along on the ride. So it's really good to see that the fruits now coming through. So
Now it's on to close more and keep the process moving
Keep the
and the momentum
momentum.
going.
and that's what I love about wholesaling, is like, once you like assign a deal, on to the next. Like, you're done with that. All you got to do is sit back and wait to collect your $30,000. There's no, now I got to raise capital. Now I got to check my credit, make sure my credit's good. Oh, they want me to pay my tax bill from last year and blah blah blah. Like, just all this BS that you have to think about when you're dealing with a flip, that when it comes to wholesaling, you don't have to think about any of that stuff. It's just like,
Or like the 10 grand that I have to pay the drywaller tomorrow in Grand Prairie on her flip up there. It's like, oh shit, there goes 10 grand.
were you
But
was that unexpected?
no, the plumbing wasn't, and that was like almost double, but
Not
still we had
unexpected.
contingencies for that, so we
Right.
always make.
But it's not fun. um, what about how much money did you put down on this deal? Zero. So you got this deal
Not zero.
so you got this property under contract with $0 down.
Yeah.
And you did it all through text message.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I can't think of a better strategy. So technically, that's 100%. Well, not really. You spent money on ads and stuff like that, but like, what other strategy?
5,000 on
Ads and an appraisal.
yeah.
Right. What other
So altogether
strategy?
we're in it for maybe 6,000 at the most,
Right. How much? Sorry.
maybe 6 grand at the most that we're in it.
Oh, no, sorry. I'm talking about the wholesale deal.
Yeah, the $1,500
Oh,
for an
sorry, about
appraisal.
1,500 bucks, maybe. Yeah.
So you spend $1,500 and you make 30 grand with like no credit. You don't have to bring your credit to the deal. You don't have to like deal with anything else. And what others when you factor in the return on time, how much, like, let's say you could do that month to month, right? And you just made 30 grand profit every month. You've spent $1,500, you made 30 grand profit every month. That's what, 360 grand a year, roughly? How?
368 here. Yeah.
Right. I mean, yeah, you'd have to do, like, if you did, I'd say you'd probably have to do 4 or 5 flips, like actually flipping properties to get that kind of profit in a year. Imagine how much more headache you have to deal with to get the same
Yeah.
And
amount of
the and
money.
the
Absolutely.
and the crazy thing that you mentioned before, Tony, like because you're down on the beach doing this kind of stuff, and we're up in Slave Lake, Alberta, in the middle of nowhere, and we're capable of doing this in the middle of nowhere with poor internet connection,
On a deal in
delays
Ontario.
on a deal in Ontario, getting back to people when your internet cuts out, all kinds of stuff, and we still did it. So
That's sick. That's sick. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. Just so everyone knows here, like, I'm bringing this up to inspire everybody. I hope everybody can benefit from hearing this so that it inspires you to go out and do the same thing. I'm just gonna jump to Sita's question here. So, Sita?
Yeah, so my question was for Sean and Brittany. So since you did text messaging with the guy, how did you get him the contract or the agreement that you signed, get him to sign?
We sent it through DocuSign. I have a DocuSign account that I subscribe to.
we
and-
paid for a pro version of
and,
DocuSign, and
just email it to him.
So he has an email. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Somebody put a question in normally I don't read the questions. I just answer people who raise their hand, but